And we're supposed to be on the website too, but it hasn't worked the last 2 days.
Yeah, no, I keep checking it.
That irritates me. Let me see if it's on now. And it's not a big deal. It's just, you try something and it doesn't work, you go back and fix it. But it ran.
Yeah.
See, right now it's showing this. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it is on. Yay, we're on the website. Oh, I know what it is. They keep taking us off because of potential copyright infringement. So, I forgot I'm online. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live in the Replay. We got Dr. Joe in the house, and it's always a really good time. And we started to have a good conversation, so I think it's going to be a really good time. Good timing for us to talk now. We're going to play the intro real quick, and Dr. Joe, he has frequent bladder syndrome. He's going to run to the little he's going to run to the little boys' room real quick, and I'm going to go too. Okay, here we go. Be right back. So it's far out. I'm watching the I'm watching the show on the SoulogyNetwork.com. So it is working. So just want everybody to know that you can watch it there. I have found out that they're knocking us off. They've given me a message that says you possibly have violated copyright. So I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, it's along the same lines of what Dr. Joe and I were talking about before we came on the air. We always have a good time. We always laugh a lot. But I don't know, man. We were just talking about, I don't know, how do you explain this? See, in general, so you have this big boogeyman out there that controls the media, controls the medical industry. We all know this: pharmaceutical, educational, governmental, religious, all of that stuff. Everything's controlled in this little movie script, but we know we're eternal souls, so what the fuck are they going to do to us? At the same time, especially someone like you, because you're a professional in their world, you are a doctor. And look what's happened this year to professionals. Hell, we can go back to 9/11. Look what happened to the engineers and architects that came out and said this is a bunch of bullshit. They just got shut down. Doctors coming out this year about COVID and quarantines and what's vaccine and what's not, and what medicine works and what doesn't, and getting slapped down and getting basically blackballed, fired, professionally disreputed. So on one hand you have which we know is an illusion, but how do you get past the fear that you sometimes don't want to admit to yourselves of these things? And two, is someone in a position like Dr. Joe or anybody, why bring any unnecessary attention, oppression, punishment, harassment your way? It's a weird place to be, isn't it?
Yes, it's very peculiar, Todd. And from one moment to the next, I know how to respond to things, if I'm being truthful. Because nearly 30 years ago now, I handed over my will and the management of my life over to a higher power, a deeper part of me, my soul. I know that that's my essential self now. I just said, look, I've got to such a point in my life now where I want to kill myself because I'm so desperately unhappy and I'm hurting so many people, that I knelt down, said a prayer with somebody else. And I'm not a holy person, but he said, look, this has worked for thousands of people before. Why give it a try? So I knelt down with him, said the prayer. The next day, Todd, I got up in a completely different world. It was like I woke up in somebody else's, right? And my whole perspective and perception of life had changed. And I know now that when I gave over my will and my life to the care and keeping of this higher power, which was love, real true love, right, that the management and every single detail of the rest of my life would be catered for, but not worked out by my head. Because when my head comes into the question, right, confusion comes in, because in my head is a left and a right hemisphere which battle with each other all the time and can never come to a decision. And I know now that when they're arguing, you know, I feel disturbed. This is how it works for me. And I've been shown a technique now to just simply come into my heart, which is basically a light heart, and just say, please show me. And in this place, there's no choice. It's completely choiceless awareness that will guide me as soon as I ask. I don't know whether that makes sense, but in this situation that I'm in now, I see clearly what's going on. I can see all the manipulation, all the fear mongering, all that sort of stuff, you know. But people say to me, well, what will you do when that happens? And I have to say, I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, and then I'll ask my heart and soul to guide me. And what I'm getting most of the time is, son, just keep out of it. Go and find something that you enjoy and do more of it. Because the theme of your life from now on is the joy of living, and nothing to do with fighting or anything like that, you know. And so that's where I am, Todd. I'm not in the fight anymore, Todd. I left the boxing ring because I've been a rebel all my life. You know, I've been on picket lines. I've been to marches with thousands of people just to make a point, you know. And I don't need to make any points anymore. All I need to do really is just go one breath at a time and try and listen in with my ear to my heart and soul and say, just please guide me. And then the thought comes in, well, what's it all about? And I get clearly, don't worry, it's covered. Over to you, Mr. Medina.
That was good. That was really
Thank
good.
you.
What can I say to that? Yeah, it's as you were talking about it, I was thinking about a couple of instances, and I know there's more. So throughout, I'm sure everybody can relate to this, but throughout my whole life, especially when you're young, like, you know, really coming into your own awareness, like 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, you're in the backyard playing with your imaginary friends. There's always this presence, right? There's always this presence, and then, you know, it becomes less frequent as time goes on. When I went on the streets, that presence was there in a much more pronounced way, because I wasn't interacting with people. Now, the similarity is what was occurring to me, by all, you know, from all accounts, was very uneven, unfair, unjust. There were a lot of things happening that didn't add up to what I was doing and what I was contributing or what I was intending. And I kind of look at all of us the same way. The other time it happened was I went to jail for 34 days. And it, again, was not what it was presented as. I wasn't in a situation financially, mentally, or emotionally to argue with it. And I said, hey, I got a free place to stay and some food. This isn't so bad. And they'll clear all my parking tickets while I'm here for time served, right? But there was a presence. There was a presence when I was a little kid walking home from school. There was a presence when I was walking the streets. There was a presence when I was incarcerated for that 34 days. That it was always there, but I mean, it was more pronounced. So I look at this now, and this conversation that you had with Source, with the you, me, we, and it, and that's how I felt. That's the answers I would get. The answer I would get is, this is not real. There is meaning in it. There's meaning in every single thing you do. You are walking in two worlds. You are taken care of. Grace is real. Serendipity is real. And yeah, you chose to be here. Yeah, it looks kind of strange. And this is all we can give you. But I love what you said about, the universe has got this. And then you walk outside and your friends, your friends or something you're following gets deplatformed, or some pregnant lady gets arrested for not wearing a mask, or, you can, regardless of your politics over here in America, and I don't have any, but to your point about the manipulation, you can look at the press, you can look at every single mainstream media outlet and many alt news outlets that are obviously biased against any narrative but the one that they've been fed. And on one hand, we could all walk outside and say, I refuse to participate. And the energetic blast from that will take care of everything. On the other hand, we can't rely on anyone outside of ourselves to make any effective change. And it's a really weird proposition, because one of us stands here and the herd's over there. How do we come together?
It's very interesting, Todd, because where I'm up to is I don't know what I'm going to do from one moment to the next. And that's my head trying to work things out. This is the source of all my confusion. And this is the source of all the solutions, because the solutions dissolve confusion, don't they? That's what a solution is. It dissolves stuff. And I feel like I'm living mostly in a fluid sort of a bubble, just floating through life. I feel sort of aqueous most of the time. As Bruce Lee would say, just be like water. And that's what I tend to do now, is I just wake up and I focus on the feeling that is here, and I just allow those feelings to guide me. And people say, well, what do you do? I say, I do what I I do what I feel like. I do what I feel like. And it sounds very, very selfish, this. But I've never been more true to myself, this self here, in all my life,
Yeah.
And Todd, I don't know whether if I was in a crowd and I saw someone being hit, whether at that point I would stay detached away from it or go in and rescue them in some way. I don't know, because I've donated my body, my mind complex, which I believe is I've donated that. I've given it back to the universe to say, use me as you see fit from one moment to the next. And the other thing, and that to me is called living from intuition and inspiration. And I live most of my life, and people say to me, well, you're supposed to be this, you've got all these qualifications, what does this mean? And I have most of the time I've got no idea what anybody's talking about, right? And I don't know what's going on. I think the greatest disease that we have is the disease of comparison. And I think that humanity is coming to a point now where sooner or later there'll be nothing to compare to whatsoever. And that's a frightening point. But I think that that's real freedom. It's a feeling then. It's not trying to understand it, because I think that's the problem. It's just a feeling. Now, in that feeling, you can be terrified, right? Or you can be free. That's where I'm up to at the moment. I feel fantastic. I feel absolutely brilliant. I just have a sense of it's all moving the way it's supposed to. And my dreams are coming true. And Todd, a lot of my dreams have come true. And I think that there's more and more and more to come if I just get out of the way. And I think I dreamt this dream before I came here. And I don't think I need to use my imagination to say, give me a nice cottage farm by the sea and all that. I think that that's a trip, a trap and a trip. Yeah. I have to just say, look, you already know my dream because you are my dream, right? Please allow it to come to full fruition now. I think that's the fast track. The more we get out of the way and allow this de-obstruction to take place, the faster our dreams come true. Fucking I'm doing a lot of effing and blinding tonight, but
it's okay.
I think I'll play that back to myself and listen to that in the future.
This is Soulogy, man. F-bombs allowed. So when you said in the first part, you said, the universe says, "I got you. I got this," and you're right about this whole like desiring something, thinking you don't have it, like that doesn't compute. And I'm just wondering if that understanding or acceptance, which is beyond faith, because it's real, that the universe has got this. There is a perfect order. There is oneness. We're all unique and equal fractals. All those things that with what's occurring, what's occurred, what will occur, that we know that we don't have to fight that. And like you said, you do what you want. That, you know what I mean? I get what you're saying. It doesn't logically make sense to be walking out the door going, universe, please let me have a good day. Or please let me have a new car or a new house or a new job or a new relationship. It doesn't make any sense at the same time this stuff is going on. I think part of what we're doing here, or part of what's going on at this time, and maybe it always goes on, is this pressure, this chaos, and this friction to compel us, or at least offer us, an opportunity to push the envelope, right? To put, to expand ourselves, and to have the knowing, to know, just as you said earlier in that first comment, that whatever's not true will not last. And nobody, not Trump, not the Pope, not you, not me, nobody is an exception, and nothing is an exception, whether it's strictly a 3D type of construction, or it's got some 4D and some 5D, or it's got some reptilian or Pleiadian or whatever. Nobody gets out as an exception. If there's anything that's not based on truth, and that's not even a condemnation, but it's just not going to last. I mean, can we not move into a knowing space in regard to that, as we've moved into a knowing space about a finite life, death? I mean, this is I just have a feeling that these types of conversations are where the real impact and the real change and influence is occurring. It just isn't broadcast. It's no press.
I think it's broadcast in the right places, in the invisible realms. I think it's beyond human senses. Yeah. And it's in this realm of extrasensory perception. It's like light language. I mean, I do, light language comes through me. Most often when I don't want it to, the ego, it's coming through and I think, look, get away from me. This is not a good time. I'm trying to give a proper serious lecture here to ordinary people, But what I'm saying is I love light language because it can't be decoded in 3D, right? And that's the whole point, is light language and light codes and cryptograms. They work at a level that's far beyond, right, human perception. but it's being picked up all the time by our extrasensory radar. And I think that the more we get out of the way temporarily, we become more and more sensitive and emotional sensitive. And we think that we're going wrong because we feel so sensitive. But in actual fact, it's because our radar is being enhanced and we're getting more and more information coming in from source. I didn't know I was going to say this. We have good conversations, me and you. Sometimes we tell jokes. Sometimes we get dead serious. And, so my pathway and yours is similar. Not the same, Todd. It's similar. I had to be homeless. Right. I had to go and beg for money. I had to do all those things. I went through all sorts of alcoholism, tried to kill myself in. I was also imprisoned. Right. And, all these different sort of things. I spent my time. I had all these qualifications. I became a builder or a builder's laborer. I did loads of roofing. I became like a flat roofing expert of flashings and stuff like that. So I did all these things, and then I was guided in a completely different direction back into the academic world, you see. So I've also got hands-on experience of how the ordinary people live. So, and like you, I always had a sense of there was a purpose, there's some sort of reason behind this. And I know what it is now, Todd. It's because so I can more or less understand what virtually every human being and the feelings they go through. Because I think, like you, I've been through a whole host of emotions to understand that in the end, right, it's all about learning to let go and trust something that's much higher or much deeper. It's become very, very simple for me. And Todd, what I'm saying now might be bollocks, but I don't care because it's all right for me. I feel okay with me. End of story. And then I get people coming in who say, right, and it makes me laugh to say, I'm sensing some obstruction in you.
I like that.
I do like this Tai Chi thing then, with love. I
played
a Tai Chi move.
I played it. I got up last night because I couldn't sleep. And so I got up and I've been testing a channel feed, like a mix of interviews and music. And so I put up an 8-hour, well, it was more than that, but they only let me run it 8 hours. And the one comment that stood out said, because I put all these pictures flashing at the beginning of all the different people that have come on, just let the images speak for themselves. And somebody says, I love the one of Dr. Joe with his finger up. Of all the pictures that are flashing, right?
But I did that at a workshop I do, because I do all these workshops. And it was full of all these serious academic types, that I'm supposed to be. Todd, I do not feel academic in any way, shape or form, But I've been doing this Tai Chi demonstration, and then I did this one.
Yeah.
Well, they all burst out laughing.
Yeah, that's the point.
And then boom, they were open then. And then it's almost like something comes in to say, God, get over yourselves with you. Because Todd, for many, many years, I thought that was how I was supposed to be. I was Dr. Delaney. I was supposed to be responsible. I used to have to go and see patients because I'm not a doctor of medicine. I'm a doctor in medicine, which is a different thing. I've got a PhD in medicine, which is more like an academic medic, really, And so I used to have to go and see people at the bedside. And in the end, we just used to laugh and joke. That seemed to have more effect on them than anything else at all, Yeah. And that's what I try and do now, Todd. That my function in life is to take the piss out of people. One of my favorite expressions is, I'm not laughing with you, I'm laughing at you.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to point out to people as well. Because we were talking about this the last 2 or 3 days about being direct. Everything's changing. Everything is morphing. Even like being, let's just say that's the topic, being direct. Being direct, we're going to get 100 different answers what that means. We're going to get 100 different demonstrations. Being direct will be someone in your face. Being direct can be somebody using humor to make a statement. All these different things, and they're constantly changing. But I think that's one thing about being direct that will become a great attribute for all of us is the diffusing, taking the wind out, taking the piss out, like you said. And when both people are the group can all just go, oh, wow, we're taking this a little too seriously, right? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say too is that it's not all going to change by the flip of a switch. This is a constant evolution, and if I look at the lockdown measures, right? You know, what little I've picked up on, just enough to know what's happening. I thought it was interesting that this was happening in Victoria, this place that has so few people and so few cases, and they have these draconian restrictions. And I think to myself, I wonder if this is like an experiment to see if they can take it into a bigger place like UK, which is what happened. Okay. And then I see the resistance, right? Like, I remember when it came out like 3 weeks ago, I went on, I was just surfing, and I see this rooftop dude on a rooftop with his camera pointed to the street. And it was like, it must have been like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And there was a lone you have little police vehicles over there. It looks like a little matchbox car was like going in the street, like a curve, like just taking up the whole street. And I guess, making a statement, and all these rebels came out and they flooded the streets like ants. And I was like, holy crap. And then they brought 3 or 4 more cars in and a couple of motorcycles, and more little rebels came out. It was in Liverpool, I believe. It was in Liverpool. That's right. I just remember that. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. And then somebody told me the other day, I think it was Morgan, she said, I don't think that the people are following the lockdown restrictions in the UK. And I'm thinking, wow. And there you go with let's all walk outside and say I refuse to participate. I wonder if that's all it's going to take. And I hate to say it like that, like, oh, it's not a big deal, because I know there is a lot of fear-based programming out there. We all have some running, could be around a multitude of different things. But when I looked at that stuff going on in Melbourne, I kept telling Morgan, that's where she's from, and I kept saying, why don't they just get out and start walking down the street? Because they're being overrun and overpowered, and those episodes of might by the powers that be are being broadcast, and the ones that are resisting are probably not being, unless they have a favorable light onto the from the in light of the oppressor. But in England, I mean, where you're at, is that happening? Are people just going about their business? Are they in fear? Or do you know? Because I know you get out in the street a little bit.
The UK is in complete lockdown at the moment. And the majority of people aren't taking much notice of that,
Wow.
Because this is how I see it, Todd. This is my perception, that people aren't so bothered about the virus anymore. They're more bothered about being caught for not obeying the rules. See what I mean? And the way I see that is, I feel my way through each day, guided by my soul, and I don't know what decision I'm going to make, as I keep saying. So, I don't wear a mask personally. I've got an exemption badge, because I manage my emotional state, because I used to have a lot of anxiety and panic attacks when I was ill, And so I manage my condition, if you like, through mindful breathing now. So I'm permitted now not to wear a mask now. This is the thing. I'll go into the stores, because all stores, you have to wear a mask unless you're exempted. Now I go in now, and I've got my badge on, right? And I go in, and the people that look at me as if I'm some sort of a leper. Now, I see the sort of irony in this, because I'm one of the healthiest persons alive these days. I'm 65 years of age. A couple of weeks ago, I ran my 6th London marathon. I've done 16 marathons. My blood pressure's fine. My blood sugar's fine. I'm like a bloody miracle walking, you know what I mean? And I'm not a big head. I'm just saying this is what's happened to me. But when I go into stores now, people are terrified that I haven't got a mask on in the store, right? Mostly older people. Now, I see the fear in their eyes, Todd. And what I do there is I get a sense of be respectful and don't, just keep away from them. Live and let live. Let them get on with their lives, because their soul has to grow in a particular way. as yours does, Joe. And what I'm seeing more and more, Todd, is that my life is all about recognizing the fear that's in me and allowing my soul to guide me to the actions that overcome the fear. And every time I overcome a fear, mostly from childhood or even before, even ancestral fears, every time I walk through a fear rather than walking round one, then new energy floods into my system. I feel lighter and my life improves. And I think that it's a pathway of getting over gravity, which means seriousness.
Yeah.
And it's finding out the gravity causes the obstruction. The action releases more levity, which is a force. It's an energetic force. And like we've said many times, I do believe in levitation. I believe that the human in its present form is so condensed and constricted that as we move more and more, these energetic powers start to come through. I mean, I've done a lot of yoga and stuff like that. And sometimes in yoga, I can almost feel like this levitating force lifting me off the deck. And I'm not easily conned anymore.
Yeah.
I think, am I making this up? Because, Todd, I became a Reiki master. I did Reiki, and these are things that my left head wouldn't allow me. My scientific head would say, what a load of bollocks that is. And somebody said to me, hang on, before you knock it, why don't you try it? And that's my view now is I try not to comment on anything I haven't experienced until I've been through the feeling itself. I don't know where I was going with that, but what I'm saying is levity. That to me, levity is not laughing stupidly and being a dickhead, right? Levity is allowing your heart to open more and more. So this source energy comes through, and that's the force that lifts us. I don't think that we lift ourselves. I think that we have to get away to be lifted by source energy. Over to you. Boom.
I got exactly what you said. When you use the word constriction, you said, I think that for the most part, human beings are constricted. I agree with you. I'm in that category because we can talk about it and explain it like through the chakra system or through how much light has entered your body or other ways. But if you really think about it, you don't come up with anything. I don't come up with anything. None of us do. Only our egos think that we are that smart and that clever. We're actually conduits, all of us. We're all conduits. And when we're in alignment, we have a pure content or we have a greater ability to share what we receive in a more pure form. But if you really think about what keeps that from coming in and we get away from the scientific and the philosophical and all that, our sphincter muscles are tightened up. Our shoulders are constricted, energetically, literally, figuratively. I mean, we're just basically creating a clot, a blockage, like a roadblock, like a dam, and that's it. And I like what you're saying because you're basically taking it from Joe. It's only Joe, and I wake up, I go to bed at night and energetically I hit my knees, give gratitude and thanks. I wake up the next morning, start my day like that. Let's see what's out there. Please allow this to come through. Please allow myself to fall into alignment with a clear channel, however you put it. But you're not projecting it out onto the world because it projects itself, and you're not pulling from the world to validate yourself. And wow, that's to me, that's my kind of explanation. Not that I come up with it. I'm just saying that to me is the easiest way to explain and get past all the differences of religious or philosophical or cultural and all that stuff. It's just real simple. Loosen up. Absolutely. I like the thing, the gravity to the brevity. I like that too. Levity. I mean, yeah, we can, and I don't know if you can relate to this, I bet you can, but I remember in the darkest moments, and I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to make this sound like it's about me because it's not, but these moments and everyone's had them. And again, like you said at the beginning, there is no thing, this comparison thing is it's not even real. It's an obstruction itself. But in those moments when you're like, I mean, you know, like in my case, it was everything was gone. You know, children, money, job, prestige, reputation, freedom, and you're sleeping in a park on a cardboard box, and you're fucking hungry as hell, and all that stuff's going on, and we've all been there. You know, it's just for me, it looked like that. For you, it looks like something else, and so on. And and there comes a moment when you laugh, and you just go. Now, does it make the situation any better? Do you have something to eat? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have your kids back? Do you have what justice? Do you have whatever? No. But there's uh, this frequency of knowing that just creates a laugh. You know, I didn't laugh for 10 years until I went on the street. And the only one that taught me how to laugh was the universe, which is me, right? Was me taking the piss out of me. Was me, wow, who do you think you are? Like, you're no different than anyone else. Like, the ego is a very complex system of neural entrapments and entanglements. I mean, it has all these different programs, and you can think that it's strictly the cockiness, you know, and the lack of modesty, but it's also in the trenches of hell. It still can live just as powerfully, and the humor, I think, is extremely important.
I
In all
think.
cases. In all
Sorry,
cases.
sorry.
No,
I agree with you. You know, the bipolarity, and that's where the schism is, isn't it? That's where the sort of the bipolarity, manic depression comes in. And with me, there was no midpoint. I was either as depressed as hell or as high as a kite, you know, and I never knew which one I was going to be. And in a way, the drinking, in a way, moderated that. And that's what it did. Was it almost like relaxed me and helped me to let go of the confusion. But it was just almost like one-way thinking, you know. So I was very egocentric, very narcissistic in drink, but I felt peace because it blocked off my conscience, for want of a better word, you know. Yeah. And I think we talk about consciousness, but I think also there's almost like an inner moral code that's called conscientiousness as well, you know. And I think when consciousness and conscientiousness marry, right, and I think that's part of it, then that's where vertical growth takes place, you know, because up to that point, it's been a sort of conflict on a horizontal sort of a level. But when those two meet in hieros, gamos, or whatever you want to explain this, when those two meet and stop knocking shit out of each other, then the sacred union then is back together. It's collaboration. It's working in harmony. And what happens then is the new birth comes in, and we get that, you know, Vesica Pisces comes in. That's the birth canal, and that's how I see it in my mind. And then the golden child is born. Then the new energy comes through. You see, I've got a big thing going up my spine as I'm talking about this now. So it's almost like it's a vertical transformation then. And then I like this phrase, we become sages in stages, you know. So rather than relying on knowledge, which is based on memory, we dispatch with memory totally, because we live in beyond memory. That's why nobody can remember anything anymore, you know, because memory is being sort of dissolved, and we're just having to live, if you like, on intuition and inspiration. How do you get there? It's dead easy, Todd. You put your hands on your heart like that, right? And then you conjure up, you can use your imagination, conjure up an image that brings with it a feeling of love, real unconditional love. Like if you've got children, you know, pick your favorite one, think about them. The feeling will come in, get shut of the kid, then it's done its job. Keep the feeling and just breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. If you do that with that feeling for 3 10-minute sessions a day, I swear to you, your life will improve beyond what you can imagine. For the better, because I think what that is it's the opening and the reconnection to our essential soul selves, which has got all the answers. I'm on one tonight, mate. I feel, you know, but that's
good.
You know, we've been looking out there. I have. I was looking out there all the time for answers, and it was just there under me nose. And when I say nose, I mean KNOWS.
Yeah.
I thought I had to know, but I had to let go of all that I knew to find out all that is. You know.
I love that. I love that.
The Pope has arrived.
That reminds me of a Cheech and Chong album when I was a kid, The Pope. It's very adult oriented, but anyway, no, I really like that. I really like that, and I really appreciate that because, first of all, whether you're talking about doing push-ups or sit-ups or jogging, playing the guitar. I started playing the guitar again after 8 years. That's okay. Perfect example. So I met a guy. I played for 5 years. I had a couple of what I call mules. They were big, cumbersome guitars that you had to press really hard, cheap guitars that I played for as a meditation. I played for about 5 years. And then I went on the streets and I didn't have them anymore. So I hadn't played for 8 years. Well, back in the day when I was playing, I met a guitar player that was on the level of Eddie Van Halen. Literally, he was. He just wasn't known. He was a specific type of guitarist, kind of a classical guitarist that played like with the speed of Eddie Van Halen. But he told me something. He said, all you have to do is play for 20 minutes a day. Just practice for 20 minutes. You don't have to do 2, 3, 4 hours. You don't have to, do these marathon sets, just 20 minutes a day. And he said, within weeks, you will be agile and quick and the patterning, in all aspects, neural, muscular, and everything, nerves the memory will kick in, right? And so I started playing, and I haven't played 20 minutes a day, but I had about 5 days that I played, and I lost all my calluses, and just playing 2-3 days, they came back. They were soft as any part, and then they came back. And I guess what I'm trying to say is kind of an energetic validation that the memory's still there, right? Like the memory is still there. There was no calluses here, and that's a representation of the effectiveness of what you're talking about and what I'm trying to connect here, which is it really doesn't take that long. It doesn't take that much time out of your day to dedicate some constructive, well-intended, foundational practices. And this breathing that you're talking about is an exercise in self-love. And it's an exercise in clearing that channel. Because even if we clear our channel today, even if we do a great job of not getting entangled in what we're being shown or what we're experiencing or the movie or whatever you want to call it, we still get tainted. It's just like somebody goes and gets their arteries cleaned, and they start eating and, whatever. And, 6 months later, they've got, 10% blockage or something. So, I think that's a really good way to put it. I like both of these things that you brought up today because they're both very simple and they're very much in the human domain that nobody can step into and we don't step out of. It's a very self-contained and simple kind of thing that anybody can do.
I think, Todd, the potential of the human is just, it's toti potentiality, if you like,
Yeah.
And I think as the soul is born, then it becomes pluripotential. So it's now in a differentiated state, and then it becomes further differentiated into the mind, and then further differentiated and materializes in the human body. So as above, so below. So all those fragments are there, but they're just not necessarily open and connected. I think what's happening now is, as this great big shift of consciousness is coming in, it means that we have to sort of let go And as we let go more, we're getting closer to these gifts. But there's a lot of shit in the way that needs to be cleared first. And that's why some people are going through horrendous emotional stuff and physical pain. And what I'm suggesting is is I just sort of try and relax more and more and do a few movement exercises like Tai Chi or running or something like that. That seems to clear the shit more quickly. And then there's almost like another gift underneath that one. And you go, Christ, I never realized, like telepathy and stuff like that. There's more and more people tuning in without saying anything so quickly now. It's unbelievable. So what I'm saying is, and then we seem to reach, or I seem to reach then a plateau, and then more crap comes up. But I'm sort of used to it now. Here's a bit more clearance happening, the purgatorial process. If we can accept that it's all being done for our benefit, this cleansing, and there's many, many more gifts and potentials underneath all this, you know, and even as far back as from and beyond the human, you know, because I see this clearly, back through ancient Egypt, back into the Pleiadians and into all that cosmic consciousness. I think that we can tap into that as well and allow it to manifest through the human on this earth plane. And I think it's about embodying the universal consciousness and all the potentials that go with it. Todd, I'm not fully understanding what I'm saying here. I'm just letting it come out. But once again is take your head off, metaphorically decapitate yourself. Don't worry about trying to find out what it is before. Go through the experience and then look back and just see how far you've come. But for God's sake, just stop over-analyzing everything, because that's the problem. Because the ego always wants to know what's coming up beforehand, just in case it doesn't like the feel of it. So it can duck and dive and not have to go through it. Todd, I'll shut up after this bit, but I honestly believe that nobody is going to get away with anything. So you might as well accept, surrender, and say to the universe, oh, fuck, have me, big boy, I'm all yours. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Absolutely. Nobody's getting out. And it's, and go back to what you were saying too. I totally agree with you. You know, it's, I can't really even add to it. You know, it's God, it's just, well, you know, I've been saying for a few weeks, it's just time to walk the talk. And there are so many ways to, who was I talking to in the last few days? And they were just talking about how, well, we use your example, like the breathing thing 3 times a day for 10 minutes. Sandra Walter was on yesterday. She's going through these 10-day fasting periods where she's just drinking water, and with specific intention and understanding of what that will do in her body. Anyway, all these people that I'm referring to, they were talking about how they essentially, in general, were making these investments into themselves. And, you know, one thing that we've kind of noticed, and we've talked about it on the show for the last year and a half or so, has been how the universe, as we get through this thing, go through this thing, that the universal energy is reciprocating quicker and quicker and quicker our efforts. It's not like it used to be. There is some type of a clearer channel now, right? Well, when you were talking about what you just talked about and left off with in terms of like the Tai Chi and the movement, and you get what you get out of that, and then right behind it, there comes this other thing, right? This other gift, this thing that you weren't expecting, the icing on the cake, right? And that's what I'm talking about. And this is actually came to me like in the last 2 or 3 days through conversations, which basically was stated to me, presented to me by other people like you, that if you go direct to the person, to your physical, mental, you know, to you, to your energy body, to you, that the same equation applies. There is a more frequent, accelerated reciprocation from the body, right? it works the same way as what I'd been referring to in terms of the experience, in terms of what the universe external gives to you. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the other example would be like Sandra talked about when she goes to these 10-day fast. Obviously, there's the biological things and the physiological things that are happening. The body, for instance, goes into panic. There's no food. Let's start burning extras that we have off. But one of the other things she said was when this happens, when this occurs, and this is like your gift that you're talking about, the clarity becomes more enhanced. The visions become clearer. The let's just say the higher sensitivities are more expanded, and you just have a stronger presence and stronger capabilities. And I think this is another example of like what you're talking about. You go out and do Tai Chi movement because you're a little blocked, or just because it's part of your routine, and it clears you up and you feel great, and the endorphins and dopamine's all going nuts, and then something comes in. That wouldn't have come in had you not made that investment yourself. And I think this is the third one today from you. Another simple method that anybody can do. There's nothing to keep you from that. Yeah, thanks.
No, it's all right, mate. And what's coming to me is I was given the gift I got was 1 day at a time.
Yeah.
And I don't do dates, when predictions and things, because I think for me at least that's a trap that can take me into expectation again. And expectare means to look outwards. And I think that was my problem, that I was always looking outwards for signs when really I just needed to focus on the feelings that were going on within me. Now, having said that, Todd, I don't do dates, but do you know the 21st of the 12th, 2020 will not leave me alone, right?
Yeah.
That's the equinox, that date and all that. And it won't leave me alone. I'm thinking, well, what are you showing me? And there's loads of people saying this, and I'm thinking, well, why are you giving me this date? I don't know, but I just thought I'd say that. But it doesn't matter to me what's going to happen then, because I've only got today to try and make the best of it. And that's what I try and do, Todd. And I'm not infallible. Jesus Christ. I mean, sometimes I'll come in and I'll be blocked. I'm feeling frustrated and everything else, And I know, right, that all those negative feelings are simply blocked love, the blocked love. And it's an ego constriction that's caused it. I've found these days that if I can remember quick enough to take a step back, to do that heart-centered breathing, that then releases that and disengages me from it. And then information then comes up clearly then. So that's what I do, Todd. I've practiced it for a long time now. As I say, I only ever feel like I'm scratching the surface of what's available here. But I know now that if I go looking for trouble, right, I'll find it, So I try not to anymore, But you know me, I do like a laugh and a joke. I am the spirit of Heyoka, I do like a laugh and a joke, and sometimes it backfires on me, mate. But hey,
I bet you were hell as a kid in grade school.
Oh, I was terrible. I mean,
I bet you were a terror. I bet the teachers. I bet half the teachers wanted to hug you, and the other half wanted to kill you.
They did. It was Joseph. Will you be serious? I remember. My mother used to say that. Will you please be serious? Right, and it became serious, Todd, and it nearly bloody killed me.
Have you ever done a like an amateur night comedy? Amateur night?
No, but I can feel I'd like that. I'm definitely. I describe myself sometimes as a scientist, showman, shaman, or shaman.
Yeah.
That's what I seem to be.
Somebody wants to know who's that green man on your brick wall over there. I never noticed.
That is the green man. And that represents. No, it's called the green man. It represents nature and the spirit of nature.
I thought
it's from Glastonbury. That's actually from Glastonbury.
That's a powerful thing. And so it's actually called the Green Man.
Yeah, the Green Man. Yeah, and it's representative of Herne the Hunter, and the deep spirit of the forest. Because I'm very, very, very much into nature, and when I run, especially along sort of sandy beaches where the ocean or the river is, it completely frees me, my soul. I love it,
Yeah.
So when I'm doing running, I'm crap at running. I'm sort of in the middle somewhere, but when I get into the rhythm of bump, 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 in nature, it's like I completely expand, and that's where I get all my inspiration then, so it's great, mate.
Man.
I mean, honestly, Todd, I mean, what you went through was for a purpose. But when you're going through it, you don't know that. You don't know that, right? And I'm sort of glad that I've gone through it, but I'm glad that I've come out at the other end.
Yeah, of course. And I think a lot of these, because probably everybody here, but well, part of the purpose or the arrangement or whatever you want to call it, the setup was for this time now. Because more of the people, and I go back to Sandra yesterday, basically, there has been a lot of forecasting over the years on this show and otherwise in the community in regard to the day's going to come, we're going to be put to work. And a lot of things, I think a lot of people, figured that meant I'm going to be sharing my specific gift or talent or wisdom that I was downloaded, modality, and so on. And I think that's probably true to a degree. But I think overall, we're going to be put to work is really describing that everything that we went through, we all got to a point where we were able to go through something more intense and be less imbalanced. And I think overall, where we're headed for here is the opportunity to be able to not be, I'll say, as affected by whatever is presented, so that we can, and it's not a cliche, so that we can, by example, hold ourselves steady in the columns of light that we are. And obviously, people that will see, if you can imagine, and maybe we've all been in this situation, you go through something. I got stuck in an elevator one time with 14 people. And you want to see the true colors of people come out with 14 people in an elevator. The one that's calm and cool, has much more influence on the collective field of energy, like the 14 people in the elevator, whatever the case is. And people will see that, and people will find themselves through the example, that people like you show them. And I think it's not coming. I think it's upon us now. And you probably in one of the epicenters of it all, just being in UK.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in Liverpool, really. I mean, there's lots going on in Liverpool. It's one of the most rebellious places in the UK, And see, Todd, I've got this feeling to say this, so I'll say it anyway. I feel within the next month, right, things will get much, much worse in the 3D dimensions. I get it clearly, and it's almost like we haven't really reached the end of the Kali Yuga yet. The cyclical thing. I know that you know all about this, but we're on.
No, I agree with you, though. I'm saying I agree with you.
But the whole point is for us maybe to say, look, don't take the bait. You don't want to fight. Don't get into the boxing ring. Because I think that's more. And I could be wrong. It's more egocentricity that feels like rebelliousness is what's needed. I don't think it is, because I call that the gunslinger syndrome. It's fighting fire with fire, and I don't think that works.
No, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't. You said that about the boxing ring, and it reminds me, something popped in my head. It must be accurate because it's at 111 in the house now. So it's like I look at this election, all right, and people would say, "Who are you voting for?" And I'd say, in other words, as if there's only two choices. And I said, I'm voting with my feet. I'm not participating. So if I picture what you just said, and you have this boxing ring at the center of this massive arena, and you got these two polarities about to go mano a mano, right? And everybody gets up and walks out of the arena, right? That's the third choice. And I think about, and I don't watch sports anymore, but but every now and then I'll catch a video on, I'll just be sliding by and surfing, and I'll see, and it could be a soccer match, it could be baseball, it could be football, basketball. There's nobody in the stands. It's very ironic. And when you said that, I thought of that immediately. I thought, oh, wow. Because one thing I've learned hanging around Morgan Lee is looking at the energetics beneath everything that occurs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Do you know what I see, Todd? I see that scene you've just said is that we don't give it any more energy.
Yeah.
Because it's attention that they're seeking, like two little kids. That's the way I see it. However, when the energy is gone, they're left then by themselves. And I see in my mind them turning around with one another and shaking hands and actually working together for the benefit, right, of the country and the people in the country. Because that's how I see it. It's those polarities, right, meeting again, sacred unions going on all over the place to say, Christ Almighty, what have we been doing? What have we been doing? And to see it clearly, that's my hope, And just to go back to the end of Kali and into the start of the Golden Age, the Satya Yuga, I think there's going to be some sort of a lag phase over the Christmas period. And I think things are going to start moving up. And this is what I see in my mind it's like that. And then suddenly a whoosh. And I'm hoping, and I could be wrong, as I say, but 2021, I have a feeling of hope and optimism in me. You know what I mean? And there you are. So that's all I've got to say.
Sages and stages. That's the new.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't make that up. I didn't make that up. I stole it from somebody called Ken Wilber.
You did? Oh, Ken Wilber.
Yeah.
Ken Wilber. I was going to say we should put that on a Dr. Joe Soulogy T-shirt.
Yeah.
Sages and stages. Just what were you saying there at the end? Oh, yeah, because distortion lives by attention, right? It does. It lives by attention, by the attention it gets, by the which could also be the energy that it receives or is given, or that is given over to it. And so if I could look back at the boxing match thing, if everybody just walks out, then it's, like you said, it's just there standing in its own energetic field with nothing there. And if there's nothing to it, i.e. it's an archonic energy that can't manifest, that can only present distortion, that then, something to that effect, something to where it's taken on a life of its own, and really it's a house of cards. It's built by matches. I mean, it's just not gonna last. But I agree with you. I'm not one to say things like that, but in the best of senses, in the best of ways, in the perfect orchestration, I believe we're going to see an expansion of the chaos, but at the same time, and to an equal degree, if not more, we're going to have an expansion that's accessible and available of what we've been cultivating, nurturing, and expanding, and that's our own awareness and all the gifts that come with it as we start to own this shit.
But as you say on that one, Todd, nobody did anything to us without our permission at some level. And I even believe that at the level of the soul, because that, in my understanding now, that even sort of even children have been souls who've programmed a particular program.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I wouldn't say that to people who are going through hell. I wouldn't say that, obviously. But I'm just saying that maybe there's much, much, much deeper realizations that need to be seen before we understand what it's all about. Because I really think that the world, the way it's set up now, is perfect for the soul's growth. I really think that's
absolutely it is. I'm going to do a show Saturday. I got to go. I've got a show in 20 minutes, but I got a phone call. But so this guy's been coming on. Cool brother, very, very much convicted to his, what he's advocating, which has to do with the child trafficking, has to do with the 1%, the Illuminati. We've got to correct all this, and their QAnon is real, and I have talked to him, and I've asked him several times, why don't we come on and talk about it? I don't want to have a debate, but to your point about the comment, like to your point in the comment that you just made, I do think these things need to be discussed, and I see the value of it, not debated but discussed, for the purpose of creating a more open-minded collective frequency, because I think that's going to be so important, that we all expand. It'll make things easier, and it'll certainly drive us to a greater degree of compassion and understanding and wisdom and so on. But yeah, this is a good day today. Tell your wife.
Sorry, can I just say one thing that's in my mind, and I'll shut up. I've had 3 songs playing in my mind all week, and it's the Liverpool connection again, because Liverpool seems to be the centre of the world at the moment, right? But it's Frankie Goes to Hollywood, right? And I had 2 tribes, when 2 tribes go to war. So that was that one, right? The next one that came in was Relax.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because that's the way forward is. Just chill out, relax. I know it had other implications and stuff like that, but we've moved past the sacral plexus now and up, we're ascending, right? So there was 2 tribes go to war, relax, and the final one was the power of love. And they've been playing in my mind all week because
who was the power of love? Was that
Frankie Goes to Hollywood?
Oh, they were all 3 of them, because I remember Relax. I remember that MTV video. Yeah. They were in the club. Yeah. What was the first one?
When 2 tribes go to war. Money is all that you can score.
I don't remember that one. That one. So Relax, and then when two tribes go to war. What was the third one?
The power of love. And to me, it represents the whole journey that's actually happening at the moment.
Were they from Liverpool?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody just asked, what is that? What is that? A freaking beautiful accent. Why is his accent so beautiful? He's from Liverpool. And you're right. Liverpool is a very special place for a lot of reasons. All right, brother. Tell your wife I'm praying for her, and that
and ditto. Yeah. She needs help. Your missus needs a lot of help. I can tell her.
I know she does, man. I mean, I just don't know what's going on over here. Somebody put Kundalini. I'm going to leave it there for now. Yeah, but
don't do it.
I'm kidding. Yeah, give your wife a big hug for me, and
I will.
Tell her I'd love to say hello to her sometime. And I'll see you next month in December. All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.